Well, it's synergy being a connection between people, being a type of relationship. The the physically the physical congregation of a marketplace facilitates that. When people are closer, they can talk to each other, because before there were phones, you and easy ways of communicating, you had to be face to face with someone in order to make that deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that facilitated, so you had marketplaces where you would have people with their papers representing what they had in their warehouse, which was close, because if it's too far away, it's not worth it, because distance is in itself part of the equation. So marketplaces became right. And then cities grew up around these, especially in places like northern Italy, where you have Florence, Bologna, Venice, and the Milan, Genoa, these trading towns, which grew around these marketplaces and became centers of trade, because people can't just, well, now we have the internet, which is a kind of a virtual center of trade, but it represents the same thing, because we need a place to bring people together in order for them to do that work. And it sounds simple, but this is a simple thing.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like building a car while you're driving it, because all these parts are constantly moving. So it's like putting extra wheels and extra cylinders into the car while you're moving forward. It's exceedingly complicated. I'm trying to oversimplify the conceptual realization of what we're talking. And
no, I like that. And to stop the car would be foolhardy, because will you be able to start it again?
And you're making no progress while you're stopped. And if you're capable of building driving, you might as well.
This kind of comes, I don't know if it was Friedrich Hayek, you can't just stop society and solve one problem at a time, because we're existing as a group of people. We're all dealing with different problems. And if we solve one problem, then the other problems are all going to get worse. So, you stop the car and fix the tires, but now the engine doesn't work, and now you have two problems.
Yeah, so, and generally our resolutions create more problems. Just like when we invented a stock market, it created new problems, and then we created like capital gains taxes so that, we'd even out the distribution of taxation because it was excessive at 30-something%. But like to drop corporate taxes down to like 0 or 2% or have tax havens is counterproductive to the entire economy. Nobody but the people saving from taxes benefits from a tax haven. There is zero benefit to the public. And if the public isn't benefiting from a marketplace's synergies, the public should be vehemently opposed to the market. They should say, well, you can't participate if we're not benefiting from it. That's the purpose of the market, to bring goods together to everyone's benefit. So the problem is with manipulation, basically. It's when people intentionally impose their will and volition into something based on their own personal objectives. And that's fine as far as setting a price goes, because you want to get the best price. And determining the best price is finding the equilibrium between supply and demand. But once you have a market player that not only sets the price, but sets the supply, it's dysfunctional. No matter how profitable it is, you can't regale the person for being wealthy, for having created or for having manipulated a system into creating their own wealth. All they're doing then is extracting resources from everybody else that's participating. That's not something to applaud. When he who shall not be named is proud of not paying taxes because he's a businessman, no businessman is a good businessman if you don't pay taxes. What you're essentially saying is that you're a welfare case. Like, you should not be proud of taking money from everybody else to get rich.
Look how many subsidies I got from the government. It's like, it's just welfare for a business.
Yeah, but you can be proud of being a farmer who receives subsidies because you're feeding the country. You've earned that subsidy. You're providing a national benefit and a security blanket for the entire population. You deserve it. You earn it. But to get a subsidy to be Amazon or Walmart and wipe out small vendors, so that these small vendors then lose their $40,000 a year job, or $50,000 or $60,000 or $80,000 a year, like mom and pop shop, and end up working at
treading water.
An Amazon factory where they're essentially robots just because they're cheaper than robots are to build. As soon as robots are cheaper to build than human beings, you can be sure Amazon's going to drop all these jobs. So the problem with the way that we're looking at economics, like macroeconomics today, from a governance and social policy perspective, is we're looking at things like job numbers on a weekly basis, and we're making decisions based on numbers that we manipulate. Those jobs numbers aren't relative to good jobs. You can have 2 part-time jobs for one person, and that's a double in the number of jobs. That doesn't mean your economy is better off for having 2 coffee shop jobs instead of 1 plumbing job. The economy is much better off when you're a sustainable, stable plumber, not an Uber driver on the weekends because you can't afford tuition.